Welcome back to another episode of the Unlimited Podcast, where we talk about trading cards, collectible, TCG culture, and everything happening in the hobby right now. Today we have a very, very special guest, Ken Goldin himself, the face of Goldin Auctions, the man, the myth, the legend. What's going on, brother? I appreciate you making time for us today, man.
Hey, Cassius, glad to be here. And don't forget King of Collectibles, the Golden Touch.
Exactly. That's a key part to the title right there, King of Collectibles.
Yeah, if you, which by the way, I will let you all, I will give you a dose of exclusivity right now in the first 30 seconds of the show.
Let's go.
People always wonder how the show name came up.
Yeah.
When we positioned the show, it was called the Golden Touch. Okay, and that was so I pitched Netflix, I pitched Disney, I pitched Discover, and a couple others. And when Netflix got the show, they like simple names. So what they came up with King of Collectibles, and then they did me the honor of calling it King of Collectibles, the Golden Touch. Nice. So they came up with the name.
Hey,
so there you go.
To be thrown the King of Collectibles by Netflix is pretty official right there, bro. And you have earned that title time and time again, man. You have represented the hobby up and down. You know, I know you specialize in, the memorabilia side of things, and the sports side of things is really where your heart lies, but you've done so much for the Pokemon and TCG community as of late. Golden Auctions has had record-breaking numbers for some big cards. Speaking of which, obviously the Illustrator Pokemon card that was absolutely insane. You and Logan did an absolutely amazing job promoting that card. I loved seeing that whole process, man. Tell me what that was like.
Logan was, I met Logan in the first time I met him was actually on a Zoom in late 2020. And then we met in person in 21. We did a break together in 22. And I went to his house, and that was actually his most successful break ever. We did a first edition box, and we pulled 2 Charizards out of that box. One of them was a PSA 10. The other was a PSA 9. The PSA 10 was the one we sold together in February for the highest price ever, almost $1 million for a regular.
Right.
So, and then the whole Netflix thing started. So I hit him up and said, hey, let's break a box and do it for Netflix.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
So we did that, and we did it live, and unfortunately, and we sold the packs on Golden, and unfortunately it sucked.
Oh, the box.
The box was very weak.
Ah.
So we're sitting there, we shut everything off, but the cameras are rolling, and people say, do you script it? Do you script it? Blah, 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 blah. I'm just like, screw it. I don't want this to look bad. This is like my first season. Right. So I said, do you have another box at home?
Yeah.
And he said, yes. I said, what did you pay? And I think he said like $335,000, whatever it was. Yeah. And I said, here's the deal. I will wire you 160 some thousand, whatever it is, on Monday personally.
Yeah.
You cover the other half. Let's bust open that second box right now. It's totally unplanned.
Right.
And he looked at me like trying to figure out if I was serious. I'm like, yeah, I'm serious. Go get the box. So we opened up the second box as well.
Yeah.
And I just hit him up. He was wearing the Illustrator, and he was like depressed after. Yeah. And I said, hey, do you want to let me sell that Illustrator for you?
Yeah.
And I was semi-serious. I figured I just wanted the price from him, and then I'd go shop it.
Right.
So he, didn't do anything. Then he's getting married. He got engaged.
Yeah. Right.
And he's like telling me about this, wedding in Italy and how much he's spending.
Yeah.
And I'm like, listen, I want to pay for your friggin' wedding. Okay. And what do I need? And he's like, okay, we're talking about an advance. And he's going, this part wasn't on camera. And he goes, like, what about $5 million advance? I'm like, no way.
Yeah.
So, but that way, literally, we agreed that I would give him a big advance, a slug that he would use. And then we would just promote the hell out of the card.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we did the deal, and then they filmed the deal on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
And we said it was the biggest secret. Nobody knew. We waited for like 6 months,
Yeah.
and then the show came out. When the show came out, we launched the auction like 4 or 5 days later, and
Perfect.
he and I, we just spent the day in New York. We went on like 9 broadcasts, and we just look, you know me, for the hobby, I will be the, the flag bearer. I'll
Yeah.
be the one going out there on TV promoting it. And he's like the ultimate promoter in his space,
Phenomenal promoter.
right?
Phenomenal
Absolutely.
promoter.
So between the two of us, it just generated millions and millions and millions of hits. And what it did was it sparked an interest in a group of people who had never bought from Golden. And this was crazy because when I started, I've got my, Pete probably,
Yeah.
and he told me, you may not get his money back. He spent 5.2. I don't know you're going to get 5.2.
Right.
And I'm like, okay. I said, listen, I want to get, I want to at least make the guy 50% on his money. I want to get
Yeah.
at least 7.5. And
Yeah.
if I was able to get him 7.5, I knew he was happy.
Yeah.
But what happened is it got so much media, and it was able to be positioned to a group of individuals like, hey, Pokemon is the world's largest franchise, and this is the best possible card. So it's the best asset. So we got 4 individuals who, all 4 of them, had never been registered for Golden and never placed a bid. And all 4 of them placed bids in excess of $10 million.
Wow.
So it
Oh
was
my gosh.
really
That's so
that
cool.
that giant, huge, huge, funnel got enough whales to push the price where it ended up to 16, $0.5 million.
Crazy story, man. Crazy story. I loved watching this whole thing, man. I had full confidence. Like, people had asked me, like, what I think it was gonna go for, and I said the bare minimum that it would do was 10 million. I was like, it's a five. He spent $5 million on it. He wore it around his neck for 2-3 years, and like really promoted the card so many, he had did so much promo himself. And then when
Yep.
you guys did that rollout, I was like, bro, there's no way that they don't at
Mhm.
least get the 10 mil out of it. And then when it hit
Mhm.
16, I was like, dude, I freaking told you guys. Like, it's like, stop sleeping on Pokemon cards. You know what I mean? Like, but that is the holy grail. And that was so cool. It was awesome. I mean, right now, speaking of which, man, the TCG boom has just been absurd. Obviously that being kind of the front runner with Pokemon, but the Pokemon market has been incredibly strong and has been on an upward turn for at least a year or two. You know, you've got One Piece coming up with some big numbers as well, which is a brand new game, which is amazing, and that IP is beautiful. Now you've got Magic the Gathering kind of getting starting its
The
boom.
original, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's in its infancy of like of a boom right now. We're seeing a lot of price hikes on some of the older and more rare stuff, and people are getting into collecting these rarer Magic the Gathering items. It's something that's kind of flew under the radar for a long time. A lot of Magic people prefer to do like private sales, and a lot of Magic collectors are recluses. They don't even want to be seen. They don't want people knowing what they have. So it's been very off the market, but now you're kind of seeing a little bit more.
I mean, and that's why, during this auction, I called up, I got like literally between, inside the US, outside the US, I got like 16 guys whose job it is to bring in items, and items of different type.
Right.
And I said to everybody, I said, listen, this is what you got to realize, because now obviously Golden is part of eBay. And, as an individual, I'm also, besides CEO of Golden, I'm an officer of eBay, and I'm
Yeah.
privy to all the eBay info.
Right.
And like, I'm telling them that, hey, everything TCG is dwarfing the sports cards.
Yeah.
And obviously XPSA as well. I know what their grading ratio is to
Mm-hmm.
TCG to everything else. And
Mm-hmm.
listen, I said, I don't care if you typically bring in modern basketball. I don't care if you typically bring in modern game use.
Yeah.
Every one of you needs to be out there trying to get TCG and at least get the lead. And if you don't understand the product, then pass it off, because we had one person doing TCG. Now he's suddenly head of TCG and he's got two individuals under him, and we're hiring more, and we are running right now our first, that was like a big Pokemon auction, and then of
Yeah.
course then we had the 30th anniversary. But now, on golden.com we have our first ever TCG Elite auction which has all of the TCG. I mean, you've got Magic the Gathering, you've got Pokemon, you've got One Piece. I believe you got Dragon Ball Z in there. You've got everything that comprises it, and that is like on our homepage. And it's been, we've got cards in there that have already blown up to over $1 million that are not illustrators, and that is like is I would say the number one focus for Golden as a company in 2026 is to be the number one auction house marketplace for TCG, because
Yeah.
I've been talking like during the whole Illustrator. So I'm talking to members of royal families of different places in the Middle East, and I'm
Yeah.
talking to Europe. Guess what? Baseball cards. Okay. Baseball cards, they care about baseball cards in North America
Yeah.
and in Japan.
Yeah.
Okay. Football cards, they care about football cards pretty much in North America. Soccer, they care about mostly worldwide, but they didn't grow up with like soccer memorabilia. It's not like
Yeah.
a collectible. TCG is friggin' everywhere.
It's
Like
everywhere.
if it's in the Middle East, it is the number one thing that they will buy card wise. Same thing in Europe. And I saw it coming when all these new customers were registering for Golden. I can see what country they're in. And I just realized this is, and it's going to live forever, because an athlete can get injured, and, somebody can do something off the court, you know, you know, Pikachu's never.
Charizard's not getting any allegations.
Exactly. Nor is Pikachu going
Yeah.
to tear an ACL.
Yeah, exactly. No, yeah, exactly.
So look, I am all in, and I started the business knowing absolutely zero about it, and
Yeah.
I'm have to keep educating myself. Now I feel comfortable with Pokemon. I've got to become, as an individual, more educated on all the other areas, because not only the older vintage, more traditional,
Yeah.
like Magic the Gathering,
Yeah.
but the newer ones as One Piece as well.
Yeah. Well, man, if you ever need any help on education in Magic the Gathering, man, I've been playing since I'm 11 years old. I know all the biggest whales in the Magic world. I know all the guys. I know the history, man. So I'm here for you
Mhm.
anytime you need. But speaking of
Yep.
Magic the Gathering
Yep.
cards, I put up a card on Golden Auction that I'm pretty excited about, man. I'm not gonna
Yep.
lie. You got it on you?
I got it. So here it is.
There it
This is.
is.
Can you see it good, everybody? So
Yeah, that's a
this,
beaut.
of course, it's showing backwards, but this is the 1993 Magic the Gathering Beta Artist Proof Black Lotus, and this one is signed by Christopher Rush,
Yep.
and it is a pop two.
Yep.
Pop
It's
two.
tied for the highest grade. Tied for the
Yes.
highest grade in artist proof. Recently, I saw somebody sold a CGC 8 for 350.
350. Okay, so
350.
this should
So,
blow that away. Yep.
I'm super excited, man, and I'm so I wouldn't have it any other way
And,
but to have it on Golden, man. So,
and, and listen, let me address business for a second, if I
oh,
can.
talk to me.
For those of you who have never used Golden or never tried to buy a big card, this is what you need to do. Registration is free. Just go to golden.com, GOLDIN.com. Or if you have, everybody here used, I'm sure 99.9% of your viewers have bought something off eBay.
Yeah, yeah,
You can use your eBay. If you've never registered for Golden, you can go to Golden, and you can use your eBay logon, get into Goldin. Then just if you want to bid on this card or any of the other higher end Magic the Gathering, we have credit limits. We do credit checks to make sure you're bidding against real humans,
Hmm.
okay? And that the consigners actually get paid, which
Right.
is very important.
Right.
So if you want to bid on on the artist proof Lotus or anything else, register and then email info@golden.com and say, hey, I'd like to get a higher credit limit. What do I have to do to allow me to bid on some of these more valuable vintage Magic the Gathering cards or anything else in that TCG auction? And don't
Amazing.
listen, don't wait. It ends May 17th, Sunday, May 17th.
Okay.
Don't wait till Sunday, May 17th to try and get credit approved. Like literally, once you see this, go there, register, send an email, and get yourself taken care of. Even if you don't buy or win anything in this auction, it's only going to be growing. Again, my goal right now, I think in terms of auctions, we've done more TCG volume than anybody else this year, thanks to that one big $25 million auction.
Yeah.
But and everything else we're doing. But we have a TCG weekly every week now. So we're
Amazing.
doing every single week. We got it. So we are like all in on TCG.
I love to hear it, man. Growing up in the TCG space, like I've been in it since I was 8 years old, man.
Mhm.
Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, then I found Magic, and I've been in it forever, man. To see where the space has
Mhm.
come since
Mhm.
then has just been incredible, bro. Like you back then, I didn't even think like when I left to go to UCLA and play football in college, I didn't even think people would be playing Magic at school. That's how niche I thought like everybody really thought it was, man. And now, Magic and Pokemon and all these other TCGs are worldwide, like you're saying. They are true like alternative assets. They are true artistic assets, and they've proven over a 30-year span that they appreciate. If you invest into these collectibles, like you're gonna do well. It's the same thing to me as buying a Picasso.
100%. And this is, I've tried to explain this to people before, is that back in the day, people who are now, now either deceased, maybe in their 60s, 70s, 80s, they grew up where it was only stocks, only bonds, and only like high end art. So if you had money back in the day, you may want to buy a Picasso, or you may want to buy or Basquiat, or maybe you want to buy your Warhol. And Basquiat's obviously more modern,
Yeah.
um, but that's where you put it. For people who grew up, and I'm going to say it, from 80s, 90s, and millennials, and Gen Z, it's franchises, it's sports, it's IP, it's things like that. And if you have the money and things are collectible, which they are, they would rather spend the money and invest it in something like that first of all they want to look at and get enjoyment. Okay,
Yes.
like they want to look, as opposed to, and I'm not saying don't buy stocks, because I own a shit ton of stocks,
Yeah.
okay?
No,
But
of course, diversify.
yeah,
Diversify at
yeah,
first. Yeah.
diverse, of course, diversify. But what I am saying is that this stuff has been proven to be, investable assets. It is proven to be collectibles. There are billions and billions and billions of dollars that are already invested in it and looking to invest in the future. And I deal with funds and new funds coming up and wealthy individuals all the time that come to me for advice, like, hey, what should I buy, what should I buy, what do you think of this, what do you think of that? And it is real. And if I imagine all of your, everyone watching this knows it's real, but if you don't, take it from me, it's real.
Oh, it is very real. I've been telling people for a long time, but now it just can't
Mhm.
be denied. It
Yep.
cannot be denied. So I got a couple questions for you,
Fire,
man.
no, fire. Give me rapid
I know we
fire.
got to get you to this
Yeah,
Sixers game. I
yeah,
know you
yeah,
got your
yeah,
Sixers on the line right now. They're down
yeah. Go ahead.
3-2, so
Yep, yep.
I don't want to keep you for too long, but I want to ask you a couple questions and we'll get you out of here. Other than the Illustrator Pikachu, which obviously we talked about exceeded all expectations, what's one item that you've handled that has also just completely exceeded all expectations?
There's been a lot of them, that have, exceeded expectations. One of them was very, very recent. One of them was very, very really recent because I didn't know it was going to hit. And that was the Bruce Lee outfit, the iconic Bruce Lee outfit we just sold.
Ooh,
Okay.
that's dope. That's dope.
I'm gonna give everybody a fun one that is quasi TCG. Let's face it. Who the hell thought somebody was going to spend $87,000 for a hot flaming Cheeto that looked like a
Dude,
Charizard?
that was crazy. That was so crazy to me, bro. Like that one blew my mind. I was like, "What's going on, bro? Like, who bought that?" I want to know. I want to know the people that bid on it, and I want to know the person that bought it, bro.
It's always surprising, but right now the market is so hot, almost everything is exceeding my expectation. I just sold a Wayne Gretzky game used jersey, set the record for the most valuable hockey jersey of all time, almost $3 million.
I love Wayne, man. I went to school with his kids, man. He's such a cool guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's amazing. He's the best of the best, but nobody had ever spent $3 million on a hockey item before.
3 million it
Yeah,
sold for?
2.85. So I'm generously rounding up.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah,
That's
see?
crazy. I mean, Wayne's the GOAT. It's not even
Yes, he is.
disputable.
He
He's the GOAT.
absolutely is. Absolutely.
In your opinion, are we overproducing cards right now?
I think that we are. Obviously do not know the production quantities.
Right.
What I think we're doing is I think we're producing too many variations.
Mm.
Okay. And I'm gonna give you a modern example. Okay. So during the quote unquote boom year, I'm gonna call 2020 the boom year.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. COVID. Yeah.
I sold the Mike Trout Superfractor for $3.9 million. Now, at that time, I was able to go out and say this is, the best modern baseball card because Trout at the time was the king.
Yeah. He.
That this was his true one of one. It was his only Superfractor,
Mm-hmm.
only one of one in his first ever product.
Right.
Tom Brady had zero one of one cards. This guy had four one of one cards. A rookie coming into the NFL or NBA today is going to have 2,672 one of one cards as a rookie. And what I think is happening is I think that confuses people because they don't know, okay, what is really the best card and what makes this one of one better than that one of one, and what makes a Sapphire one of one as good as a Bowman one of one or a Topps Chrome one of one.
Right.
And I think that's a little confusing. I think the general demand for cards, because the new boxes, obviously sell out, and I happen to be very good friends for God, to date myself. Since the early 1990s of the guy who is in charge of all the distribution for Walmart and all the department stores,
Right.
and
Right. Right.
he's got the direct link with all the Pokemon. So
Mm-hmm.
so I know how much I get an idea how much he's selling. I
Right.
know the demand has not slowed down. They definitely wouldn't be considered overproducing because
No, I don't think Pokemon is. I definitely don't think Pokemon is. I think they, in fact, are going to make more. I think.
if you look at vintage, you know, 52 Mantle, there's no other card. It's the
Yeah.
only
Yeah. That's the
1952
one.
Topps
That's the
Mickey Mantle,
one.
right?
Yeah.
So it's like or a Roberto Clemente rookie or a Joe Montana rookie. It's like not like people don't want to need to worry about. Okay, fine. Even Tom Brady in 2000, you've got the playoff contenders and you've got the Bowman Chrome, and like those are the God cards.
Yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense actually. I didn't know that they were printing that many one-on-ones. That is definitely very confusing to people who are, trying to figure out what is especially like the high-end investors and stuff. That makes a lot of sense. If you were picking up singles, sealed product, or looking to move part of your collection, Cash Cards Unlimited is always buying, always competitive pricing across Magic, Pokemon, One Piece, and sports cards. Hit us up anytime. Info at cashcardsunlimited.com. Modern cards are vintage. Which is holding its value more long term?
Strictly talking about holding value, it is vintage significantly. And the reason is that is to me is basically the confusion is if you want, baseball, modern baseball has been around forever. There has never been, you could pick a Mickey Mantle card from 1951 Bowman through 1969 Topps, his last card, any card in any grade. And I'm telling you, if you can only afford a 1968 Topps Mickey Mantle in a PSA 2, that is fine. I will say whatever it's selling for today is more than it was selling for 2 years ago, is more than it's selling for 5 years ago, is more than it was selling for 20 years ago, and will be less than what it's selling for 5 years from now.
Oh, before I get to the next question, I need to tell you, I need to give you a little piece of advice, maybe not advice, but like there is something on the market in the collector's market that is very, very slept on right now that people are not talking about. And it is original Magic the Gathering art.
100%. 100%. That a million percent, because that is incredibly,
It's the
first
only real one of ones. Like
correct.
they're the original one
I
of
agree. I
ones.
agree.
And
Agree a
nobody
million
really
percent.
talks about them. They don't really have a ton of like coverage and stuff, but
It,
there
it,
are some like the original Black Lotus. I don't think that you could get it for 15 million right now if you wanted.
mm. I mean, and to me, that is like, it's like original. Okay,
Yeah, there you go.
here we
What
go.
you got?
But screw it. Okay, so this is my personal copy of Amazing Fantasy 15, first
So
appearance of
cool.
Spider-Man.
That's
It's
so
a
cool.
7.5. Okay. Whoever owns this original art, I mean, comic art people
Yeah,
know it's an eight-figure piece. I mean,
yeah.
it is iconic, iconic, iconic. And all of these things, the original art for any key Magic the Gathering art, any key original vintage Pokemon art, all this stuff, comic books, um, Harry Potter. I mean, all
Yeah,
this type of
all
stuff.
the show like all the different IPs for sure. Yeah, like
Yeah.
Street Fighter, Marvel vs.
Yep.
Capcom, Mortal Kombat, all that the original
Well,
art.
exactly.
I
Mortal
think that's
Kombat.
I think that's the next I think that's like the next category that sees a real boost, man.
Yep.
There's some cool stuff coming out.
Yep.
All right, last question, okay?
Sure.
And I'm gonna get you out of here. If you had $1 million
Ooh.
in 2000, if we went back to 2006, and I don't know why I keep choosing that. I did a bunch of content and I just keep going back to 2006. It just sounds good to me, okay? You had a
hmm
million dollars, you went back to 2006. What would you spend that $1 million on? In the
Well,
collectible space, in the
yeah, in the
collectible
class.
space purely, yeah.
Okay, so 2006 is look for me. I am not sure on the percentages of this one. I'm
Okay.
not sure on the percentages. So I am going to say that I would spend 80% of the money buying 2003 Upper Deck Exquisite basketball cards of the key
Ooh.
guys,
Ooh,
because
okay.
I know how much those are worth. It's ridiculous. And
Okay.
I'd spend 20% buying buying vintage Pokemon, both the key cards as well as sealed wax.
That's quality right there. That's quality and diversification too. I like
Yeah,
that a
because
lot.
I'm not. I know. Look, I know the Pokemon numbers are friggin' insane.
Yeah,
I
they
know
are.
like the percentage increase is insane, but
Yes.
I also know how much that particular brand. It's an unusual thing. It was a very select thing, but I've sold cards out of that for like $5 million.
Dude, they're
So
crazy. They're crazy, and I gotta talk to you, man. There's a collection that came across my table that's got some
Mhm.
of that stuff in there. We gotta talk about that. But Brother,
Cool.
I just got to say, man, thank you so much for making the time to come on the podcast, man. It's an honor and a privilege to have you on, brother. And
Mhm.
guys, do not forget to go check out that auction. If you are looking to bid on basically the biggest Magic the Gathering card that has hit the market in a long time, Pop 2, tied for the highest grade in of this card out there in an auto 8, man. Go to Golden Auctions, register now, and make sure you listen to your guy Ken Goldin and get up there and bid. Thank you so much, Ken, for your time, brother. I appreciate you, and good luck to your Sixers tonight, man.
Thank you. Thank you. Hopefully we make the next round. Enjoyed it. We'll do it again.
No, definitely, man. I appreciate you.